Welcome back, learner, to another deep dive. Today, we are asking a pretty serious question.
Always a good place to start.
Right. So, what do invisible cosmic radio waves, an unchangeable smartphone screen, and a steaming bowl of cow dung soup all have in common?
Yeah, quite the lineup of things there.
It really is. And the answer lies in this genuinely mind-bending transcript we are exploring today. I mean, it might honestly change the way you interact with basically everyone around you.
It is a phenomenal text.
Wow.
We are pulling from a transcript and summary document produced by Buddhist Practice Incorporated, which is based in Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, and the material captures a really profound ongoing dialogue between a teacher, consultant Benny, and a seeker of Buddhist teachings named Venerable Ivy.
And we should probably credit the production team too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Huge credit to Notebook Amadon for their production work and bringing all this really complex material to light.
For sure. And look, the mission for this deep dive is not to give you some dry academic history lesson on ancient theology. We want to take these massive, universe-spanning spiritual concepts and, translate them into practical, everyday psychological tools.
Right, making it actually usable.
Exactly. So we're going to look at human motivation, the invisible frequencies of compassion, and how to stop going to war with the people in your life over temporary illusions.
I love that framing. And the document actually starts by looking at the very engine of human action.
Oh, the thirsting mind stuff.
Yeah. Consultant Benny introduces two opposing forces that basically dictate everything we do. You have the thirsting or yearning mind on one hand and the disgust or rejection mind on the other.
Okay, so it's a binary.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And to even begin to understand reality or, achieve any kind of spiritual growth, Benny argues you absolutely must cultivate that thirsting mind.
Which is an intense phrase.
It is. The text compares it to a person wandering in a desert.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
They're experiencing extreme physical thirst and they just desperately need water.
Okay, but I struggle with this whole thirsting mind concept right out of the gate.
How so?
Well, I mean, if I am dying of thirst in a desert, I'm desperate, yes, but I'm also panicked. Like, I'm probably delirious and making terrible decisions.
Sure, panic sets in.
Right. So how does Benny reconcile that chaotic desperation with the kind of calm clarity we usually associate with spiritual enlightenment?
That is a fair point. But the analogy isn't really about the panic. It's about the singular, undeniable focus.
Focus. Okay.
Yeah, think about your average day. You might have a vague desire to be a better person or, a mild preference to meditate for 10 minutes.
Mild being the key word there.
Exactly, because you also want to watch TV and you want to eat a snack and you want to check your email. Your desires are scattered all over the place.
Oh, constantly.
So Betty's point is that someone dying of thirst in the desert doesn't get distracted by a notification on their phone. Every single cell in their body is singularly focused on the water.
Oh, wow. Yeah. They aren't multitasking.
No, not at all. That unbroken survival-level yearning is what's actually required to break through our mundane everyday habits.
Okay, so it's about the intensity of the focus, not necessarily the anxiety behind it.
Exactly.
But even if we don't have that intense thirst just yet, is simply lacking the desire our biggest problem? Because the text spends a lot of time talking about the opposite end of the spectrum.
Oh, yeah. That is the real danger zone, the rejection mind.
Right.
It's that feeling of annoyance, disgust, dismissiveness, or just general contempt. Benny emphasizes that the rejection mind isn't just a neutral lack of interest.
It's not just apathy.
No, it is an actively destructive force.
Yeah.
The text argues that the good or bad results of literally everything in life stem directly from which of these two mindsets you bring to the table.
Wait, literally everything. So if I approach a new concept or, say, a difficult conversation with a coworker with a pre-loaded sense of annoyance.
Which we all do.
Right. But you're saying I'm not just being pessimistic. I'm actually destroying the potential of that interaction.
You are totally severing your connection to any positive outcome. The text frames it around karma.
Okay.
The rejection mind destroys the very conditions required for good karma to even take root.
It's like pouring bleach on the soil before you plant a seed.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, you can water it all you want later, but you've guaranteed nothing will happen because you killed the environment from the start.
A perfect analogy. The mindset is the engine. If your engine runs on the fuel of rejection and disgust, you are driving your own potential straight into a brick wall.
Okay, so if we manage to stop pouring bleach on the soil, if we actually foster some of that thirsting mind, how do we know what to actually thirst for?
That is the big question.
Right, like how do we know where to steer? The transcript has this wonderfully relatable moment where Venerable Ivy is trying to figure this out, and she is just completely overwhelmed.
She really is. She is facing this massive library of ancient sutras, and Benny is trying to explain the different target audiences for each one.
Because they aren't all meant for the same people, right?
Exactly. You have the Amitabha Sutra, which is tailored for Sravakas.
And those are, wait, what are those again?
In Buddhist terms, those are the hearers.
Yeah.
Basically, people who are very intellectual and study the teachings rigorously.
Okay, got it.
Then there is the Infinite Life Sutra, designed for bodhisattvas, who are these incredibly advanced beings entirely dedicated to the awakening of all life.
Right, the heavy hitters.
Yeah. And then the Contemplation Sutra, which Betty says is for top-tier good people.
And Ivy's reaction is basically, look, I am none of those things.
Yeah, she's so honest about it.
She says, I'm not a scholar, I'm not a saint, I'm just an ordinary mom and wife. Like, what am I supposed to do with all this?
It is such a profound moment of humility. And Betty provides a very practical safety net for her.
Which is what?
Benny tells her that if you don't have the foundation to decode these texts yourself, you need a good knowing advisor.
A guide.
Exactly. But specifically, a guide with immense spiritual clarity who perfectly understands the 12 categories of the scriptures without error. That way, they can translate it for your specific capacity.
And this brings us to the Wi-Fi analogy, which honestly is probably my favorite modern translation of an ancient concept in this whole document.
It's so good.
Benny compares the Buddha's teachings and this immense universe-spanning compassion to Wi-Fi signals, or like ultrasound waves.
The mechanics of this analogy are just brilliant. Think about the very room you are sitting in right now.
Okay.
The air is completely saturated with invisible frequencies, radio waves, cellular data, Wi-Fi. It is completely full.
Right.
But if you don't have a device with the correct receiver, you perceive absolutely nothing.
You could be standing in the middle of a blazing fast internet signal, but if your phone is stuck in airplane mode, you are completely isolated.
Exactly. You are missing everything.
And the text points out that the signal isn't hiding from you. The universe isn't somehow withholding compassion. You are just actively blocking it. You are, as Benny says, looking but not seeing, listening but not hearing.
And that receiver we need to turn on. That's our affinity, our connection to the teachings. If we don't have an affinity for wisdom, it's just empty air.
Which brings up the cow dung soup.
Yes.
I have been waiting for this part. The text asks, why is it so easy for us to tune our receivers to worldly habits? Like eating, drinking, playing, scrolling on our phones. But it feels like pulling teeth to tune into spiritual wisdom.
And it all comes down to historical conditioning. Benny uses the imagery of being offered a steaming bowl of cow dung soup. Right, your immediate reaction is absolute disgust. You have zero interest in eating it.
Because it's literally cow dung. Of course I don't want to eat it.
But Benny's deeper psychological point here is that you reject it because you have never built an affinity for it.
Right, really? That's the argument.
Yeah. Conversely, Benny argues we have been cultivating an affinity for worldly pleasures over countless lifetimes. We are absolute experts at receiving the frequency of distraction.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see this in my own life all the time, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If I have 5 free minutes, the urge to pull out my phone and scroll social media is automatic. Like, it requires zero effort. I have a massive affinity for that dopamine hit.
Right, your receiver is perfectly tuned for it.
Exactly. But if I tell myself, hey, use these 5 minutes to sit quietly and just observe your thoughts, my brain basically throws a tantrum.
It fights you.
It feels physically uncomfortable. And Benny is saying that discomfort is just the friction of trying to tune a rusty dial to a frequency I haven't practiced receiving.
We've practiced the scrolling frequency for years, maybe decades. Changing the channel requires that intense, thirsting mind we talked about earlier.
Circling back. I like that.
Yeah, you have to actively build the affinity for wisdom. And when your own dial is broken or stuck on the worldly channels, that is exactly when the good-knowing advisor steps in to help adjust your frequency.
Okay, so let's follow that thread. Let's say we put in the work. We drop the rejection mind, we find a guide, we tune the dial, and our internal Wi-Fi actually connects.
Okay, we're all like,
What exactly is on the other end of that connection? Because when consultant Benny starts describing the Buddhist cosmos in this text, the sheer scale of it just breaks my brain.
it really is something else.
Right.
But the text is intentionally trying to shatter our limited human-centric perspective. It forces us to look at reality on a true macrocosmic scale.
I mean, the imagery used for Amitabha Buddha is staggering. Benny describes his eyes as being the size of 4 oceans.
Just massive.
And a single white hair on his brow is so massive it could tie up 5 Mount Sumerus. And Mount Sumeru is the colossal mountain at the very center of the universe in this cosmology.
Right.
Benny says that, by comparison, we humans are less than a microscopic speck of dust.
But that scale serves a very specific mechanical purpose in the text. It's not just poetry,
Yeah.
It's explaining how karma and consciousness actually operate.
Okay, how so?
The transcript discusses the eighth consciousness.
Yeah.
In Buddhist philosophy, this is essentially the foundational storehouse of reality. Every single thought, action, and deed you perform is a seed planted in this eighth consciousness.
Wait, let me stop you right there.
Sure.
The text says that when you cultivate good deeds, those seeds eventually bloom into actual physical lotuses in the ponds of the Pure Land.
Yes.
Are we talking metaphorically here? Because it sounds like you're saying my good mood today physically grows a flower in another dimension. Like, how does that mechanism actually work according to Benny?
Well, in this framework, reality isn't something external that your brain is just passively observing. Consciousness is the fundamental fabric of reality.
Okay.
The physical world we experience is just a manifestation of the seeds held in that eighth consciousness. So when you generate a profound thought of compassion, it isn't just an electrical impulse in your skull.
What is it then?
It is a fundamental shift in the fabric of the cosmos. Your internal psychological state directly engineers the reality you will eventually inhabit.
Wow. Okay, that actually makes the distinction Benny draws between the Dharma realm and the three realms make a lot more sense.
How do you mean?
Well, Benny explains that the Dharma realm is the ultimate boundless reality. It encompasses everything and is as vast as our own true self-nature.
Right.
But the three realms, which includes our specific physical universe of desire and form, is just a tiny, impure subset of that vastness.
Yes.
It's like we are trapped in a tiny, messy closet, convinced that the closet is the entire house, while our consciousness actually spans the whole estate.
That's a great way to visualize it. But realizing you are trapped in a small closet is incredibly difficult when you don't even have the vocabulary to describe the rest of the house.
True.
The text illustrates this beautifully when Venerable Ivy tries to understand a specific instruction in the sutra.
Oh, yes. The Ju-Yang misunderstanding. This is such a charming human moment in the transcript.
It really is.
Benny is explaining the term Ju-Yang, which means to loudly proclaim, to praise, or to elevate the spiritual teachings. But the word Ju literally translates to lift or raise.
So Ivy, who is trying her absolute best to follow the instructions, genuinely asks if she's supposed to physically pick up a ruler or a wooden object during the ceremony.
I mean, I would have done the exact same thing.
Right.
She's looking for a practical, physical action in her human-sized reality. But it perfectly highlights the limitations of our language. We take these literal three-dimensional tools, like lifting a ruler, and we try to apply them to cosmic, multidimensional shifts in consciousness.
And it raises a valid critique, like why do these texts use such archaic, difficult language if it only leads to confusion?
Yeah, why not just speak plainly?
Well, Benny clarifies that wrestling with this language is actually the point. It is an exercise in cognitive expansion.
Cognitive expansion.
Yeah. When you force your brain to understand that Ju-Yang isn't the physical lifting of a stick, but the energetic, universe-spanning elevation of truth, you are stretching your conceptual limits.
Oh, I see.
You are building the capacity to understand a reality that defies physical physics.
And we definitely need that stretch capacity for where the text goes next, because Benny drops the deepest philosophical concept in the entire document.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, it's a phrase that sounds like a complete oxymoron. Not empty, true empty, wondrous existence, non-existence.
It is the absolute philosophical peak of the transcript.
Oh, yeah.
And it is incredibly dense.
Whoa, hold on. Break that down for me like I'm 5, because my immediate reaction is that those words cancel each other out.
They seem to, yeah.
Like, how can something be true, empty, and wondrous existence at the exact same time?
Okay, Benny solves this paradox using the screen analogy. And this is really the key to unlocking the entire text.
Right, I'm listening.
Imagine the screen of your television, or even the smartphone in your pocket. The physical screen itself, the glass, the underlying canvas, that is true empty.
Because the screen itself never changes.
Exactly.
Like whether I'm watching a terrifying horror movie, a hilarious comedy, or just looking at my blank lock screen, the glass underneath is completely unaffected, it is permanent, and it is entirely empty of any fixed permanent image.
Precisely. That is the true empty of your own self-nature. But the screen is also not empty. or wondrous existence,
Why is that?
because it has this miraculous capacity to display an infinite variety of colors, texts, and moving images.
Mm.
It functions. It creates a reality you can interact with, laugh at, and cry over.
But the images themselves are non-existence.
Yes, they aren't permanently real. You can't reach into your television screen and eat the apple it's displaying.
Right?
As soon as the power goes off or the scene changes, the image vanishes. So the movie exists wonderfully, but it fundamentally lacks permanent reality.
And this is where Benny identifies the ultimate tragedy of the human condition, isn't it? We treat the temporary, flickering images as if they are the ultimate, permanent reality.
We completely forget the screen.
We fall in love with the images, we go to war over the images, we hoard the images, and when the movie inevitably changes scenes because, well, that's what movies do, we are devastated.
We feel destroyed by it.
Benny says this leads to a life that is not wondrous at all. It leads to continuous disaster because we are white-knuckling things that are literally designed to vanish.
We're constantly fighting the nature of the screen.
So how do we take this massive cosmic screen analogy and actually apply it to, say, an argument with a spouse or a frustrating day at work?
Right, bringing it back down to earth.
Because Benny makes a profound psychological pivot here. The text connects this screen concept to the idea of entering every speck of dust or dealing with dust-like beings.
And this is where the high-level theology becomes pure, actionable empathy. If you accept the screen analogy, it forces you to reevaluate every single conflict in your life.
Let's use a hypothetical to ground this.
Okay.
Say I am furious at my partner because they constantly leave their dirty dishes in the sink. It's a silly, worldly habit, part of that cow dung soup we talked about earlier.
Yep, very common.
I look at them and I feel that rejection mind. I judge them. I demand they change their behavior immediately to suit my preferences.
Well, in the context of the analogy, you are basically screaming at an image, flickering on the screen, demanding it be a different shape.
Exactly. I am entirely focused on the annoying image they are projecting in that specific moment. I build a wall between us.
Right.
But Benny says our interpersonal barriers come from a lack of understanding. I don't see the deep, lifetime-spanning roots of why their image is flickering that way. I'm not acknowledging their conditioning, I just reject them, which puts them on the defensive and the conflict escalates.
And Benny's solution to that is radical empathy. True compassion in this framework is described as the Buddha, entering every single speck of dust without a shred of prejudice.
Wow.
Practically speaking, that means you have to drop the disgust.
You have to step out of your own preferences and willingly enter the reality of the other person.
Yes.
You have to understand why their internal Wi-Fi is tuned to that specific frequency without condemning them for it.
You have to look past the dirty dishes,
Yeah.
past the annoying habits, past the flickering, temporary image that is frustrating you, and recognize the screen beneath it.
I have to realize that beneath whatever frustrating image they are projecting, they're made of the exact same permanent, unchanging screen that I am. We are literally sharing the same foundational reality.
When you truly internalize that you and the person you are arguing with are both just wondrous temporary expressions playing out on the exact same empty canvas of true nature, the hostility evaporates.
You can't still mad at the glass?
Right. You can't harbor deep disgust for them without harboring disgust for the fundamental fabric of the universe itself. Radical empathy isn't about agreeing with their actions. It's about acknowledging the shared screen.
It just reorients the entire way you look at human behavior.
It really does.
Let's recap the journey we just took, because we covered some immense ground today.
We definitely did.
We started by identifying the engine of change, the absolute necessity of the thirsting mind, while actively eliminating the toxic, karma-destroying rejection mind.
Then we explored the mechanics of connection, realizing that the universe is completely saturated with wisdom, but we need to tune our internal Wi-Fi away from our conditioned affinity for worldly distractions. And often we rely on a good knowing advisor to help us find that signal.
From there, we stretched our conceptual limits. We confronted the staggering scale of the eighth consciousness, where our daily psychological states literally plant the seeds of our future cosmic reality.
And finally, we brought it all home with a screen analogy. The realization that the frustrating, ever-changing realities of our daily lives are really just wondrous images playing on the true, unchanging, empty screen of our self-nature.
It is the ultimate tool for empathy. When we remember the screen, we can finally stop going to war with the flickering images.
It is a profound shift in perspective. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. building directly on that metaphor.
Lay it on us.
The next time you find your heart rate spiking, getting intensely frustrated by a conflict, whether it is a partner leaving dishes in the sink, a coworker missing a deadline, or, a stranger angering you on the internet, take a physical breath, pause, and ask yourself a simple question.
Okay.
Are you fighting with a temporary vanishing image, or are you remembering to look at the screen?
That is a question that changes the whole game. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredibly expansive journey today, learner. Keep your curiosity alive, keep tuning that internal dial, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.